now that we've installed Flask SQL Alchemy, we should go back to the documentation and do a couple things that they want us to do here. So the first thing is this app config. We already have this part of the app, so I'm just going to grab this, copy it over, and paste it in right here. This is where we will need to specify the database path. So they have 4, so this matters. I believe we only need to put it in our root directory where it is. We want 3 of these, okay? And then we want to call it something. So I'm going to call it just database.SQLite 3 because it isn't, we're going to be using an SQLite 3 database. That's like the default kind, okay? So alternatively, we could call it maybe just database and keep that as it is, but let's stick to it this way, okay? And then they already want us to put in some kind of data type here. So the data type in question is a user data type, and that's good. That's fine. Maybe we could get something a little more useful. So I went down here to simple relationships, and this is nice because we're making a blog and they have some sample code for posts and categories. And in fact, this is really nice because it already creates a relationship between the two. So two birds, one stone, right? We're all about that. Maybe the time to create a user will come soon, but for the time being, no need for users. We're just gonna create a post content type and a category content type. And they also have this import date time. So I'm gonna move this code over here. Import date time, great. Class, okay, copy this in here. And they don't necessarily say where we want to put this, but we want to put it always before the routes. The routes are kind of at the very end, and then we want this after we declare the database itself, the database item. So here we go. That's looking pretty good now. All right, now let's go through some of what's happening here in this code. So we're creating doesn't like that because it wants 2 spaces. Yeah, we're creating a class called post, and this is an object. So if you have an existing object in your code you're working some working code and you already have an object, we kind of want to get rid of that and instead work with let SQL Alchemy take over completely, right? SQL Alchemy allows us to add and access things within a database using Python, and so we use their object constructors here. So every post has an ID, which is your primary key right here. We need to include the primary key. The data type here is an integer, a title to it, DB, and that's going to be the column. It's going to contain a string, 80 characters. I guess that's fine. Beyond 80 characters, I don't know if it's important or not. Now we have this not nullable false, means you can't leave it empty, okay? You can't make a post without a title. That's fair. That's perfectly fair to me. Body, we have another thing in our post though, right? I have included here a subtitle field. So I'm gonna go ahead and write subtitle equals, and it's the same thing, right? Maybe I'll just do 255 just to keep it real, Then we have a body and a category, and we have body. They have a publication date. We could use that. I'm gonna fix the formatting, and we also have a category here. All right, well, let's take a look. So the publish date is a datetime object. It's not nullable, but it has a default value, which means it's the datetime UTC now. And that's fine because we don't have a place to enter the datetime. Instead, just whatever time we add it to the database, it's just gonna check on the clock and post that in. So that's fine by us. Category ID, and so we want every post to have a category, and the way we identify that category is through its ID, which is the primary key of the category object. So let's just go down here. The category object is made up of an ID, which we use as the primary key. You don't want the name or anything like that. It's best to just use a number, and the object and the name, right? The category name. And then they have this other code here, which is useful. As you can see, it also, this is kind of its return method here. Okay. So the object, the post object, is made up of a category ID, and then that category is, we're defining a relationship here. Yeah, this is a column, 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 and then here is a relationship, and that relationship is between the category table, so this one here, and it has a back reference to posts, meaning this one, I suppose, lazy true. You know, I'm just going to leave this as it is. It's not worth going into. I'm not 100% of it sure myself. So I'm going to actually fix this formatting as well. So just to recap here, category ID, we're not referencing the category name, we're referencing an entry in the category table. Okay? So that's why it's a category ID, and what it's going to be is an integer. And then that integer is accessed through the foreign key, and we go in through it like that. Okay.